Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. What is this channel called? Carnivore Claire. I get confused because I've got 3 different channels. So Carnivore Claire, where we talk about my personal journey on the carnivore diet. I've been doing it about 2 months now. So I have some questions from my viewers, so I'm going to answer them, and I might answer a couple more just generic questions that I've seen come across the forums for carnivore diet in case you are on the fence thinking you want to do it. I'm going to give you a little hint. Do it, you won't regret it. But obviously look into it first to see if it's right for you. So Cheer Up Bright Eyes, great name, said, have you noticed an increase in your grocery spending? Here in the US, I'll go to Aldi or Costco and stock up on things like meats when on sale. We fortunately have room in the freezer in the garage. I hear a lot from other content creators that carnivore diet is not more expensive than a carb diet because you're cutting out all the crap. I don't really believe that at all. Not based on my personal experience. I would say it's not massively more expensive, but it's definitely not cheaper. So for me, we only have a tiny freezer, so I can only store like 2 or 3 packets of meat at a time. I also have histamine issues, so I can't store meat in the fridge for more than 12 hours. So I've got a little bit of a system going, but it really does mean that I can't buy a lot at one go. So I also like to buy grass-fed if I can, organic if I can, which I really can't. It's expensive, I can't do that. But if you were buying grass-fed organic, then you would find it extremely expensive. If you went maybe just grass-fed, in Aldi or Lidl, I think it's Lidl, we buy grass-fed beef, and that is not expensive. Wow, it's about £4 for 300 grams, so it is, and it's not expensive. You can buy it dirt cheap. You don't have to buy grass-fed. You don't have to buy organic. You can just buy the cheapest meats and do it that way if you need to. It also depends on your appetite, because if you have a really big appetite for meat, you're going to want to eat more meat, and meat is expensive. I'm sorry, I don't care what anyone says, meat is expensive. Unless you buy the really cheap stuff, and I do not like that because of all the chemicals they put into it, and I react, especially if the animals have eaten soya, then I react really badly to that. So I have to go the more expensive route, but unfortunately that is more expensive. Now, we did used to spend quite a lot of money on carbs, but I'm spending about the same on my meat diet. I don't like to buy sale meat because of my histamine issues, and I like to buy meat that is not aged as well. But if you don't have histamine issues, that won't be an issue, and you could probably get sale items like this lady did. But also you've got to take into account, do you eat eggs? What fat you buy? Do you eat dairy as well? All those things can factor into the cost. I try not to buy dairy. I only eat it if my husband, who I'm going to be estranged from, buys it, so that won't be for much longer. And I stopped eating eggs because I was reacting to them. So I've noticed, I found out actually someone commented and said you may be reacting to the eggs because the ducks are being soya fed, and I looked into it and that is exactly what was happening. So my other questions are from Lorraine. Hi Lorraine. She says, after 30 days on the diet, I would like to know if you're getting tired or bored of eating primarily meat. I would say probably at the 30-day mark I was, but at nearly 60-day mark I'm not at all. I started eating meat and initially I found it really difficult. And like after 3 days I was like, oh look, here's some more beef mince. That's appetizing. It did take out the problem of deciding what to eat, because I had what I had in the freezer, only a few days worth of food, and I just had to eat it. So yeah, I did get bored initially, but I just stayed with it, and over time that boredom has disappeared. As you may have seen in last week's shopping haul video, I have been buying different cuts of meat. So I bought duck, I bought venison, I bought beef, I bought lamb. And I find that that is a really good way, if you rotate them, that's a really good way of staving off the boredom. And actually buy meats that you really enjoy eating. For me, that is lamb. Lamb's my absolute favourite. It's very fatty, so I enjoy that. Because when I eat more lean meats, I get constipation. But when they're fatty, I don't. I bought some duck fat as well. So if I've got a lean meat, I will add duck fat into it, and that really helps. I don't get bored. I'm totally on board with this diet. Totally on board with it. Next question Lorraine asks is, do I get cravings? No. No, I don't. I was a complete carb queen. My eating was completely out of control. And I would get cravings for chocolate, candy, that sort of thing a lot. But since I've been on meat, I pretty much within a few days actually, I stopped craving it. Initially I was still having bananas and avocado, if you remember. And I suppose I was craving those initially, but once I stopped all fruit and only ate meat and protein, then all the cravings just completely disappeared and I just don't get them. In fact, I don't even get a craving to eat for the most part now. The only reason I eat now is if I can feel it in me, where it's almost like my body's drained of all calories and fat and protein. And like I start feeling a little bit weak and I'm like, that's probably a sign that I need to eat now. So basically I forget to eat, which I never ever thought are words that would come out of my mouth. So the next question is, what is your favourite meat and how do you cook and prepare it? So I just told you that. That was lamb being my favourite, absolute mwah. I will say though, I don't enjoy eating meat per se. In the last few years, I had gone more vegetarian than meat eating. I'd still had meat, but it was just not very often, once a week maybe. And when I did carnivore, I really didn't enjoy eating meat. The ethical reasons, the fact that these are animals, just didn't feel right to me. But ultimately, my health is more important. And so out of all the meats, lamb definitely is by far the best. It tastes the best. It's the most satisfying to me. Now, how do I prepare it? Two ways. I bought some skillets and I was cooking in them for a while, but it's so messy and it does take quite a while. So I've gone to the air fryer. I've basically got some aluminium foil. I know it's not great for food. Don't go there. I know, but that's what I'm using. I put the meat in, and I do this with all the meat, not just lamb. Put the meat inside the foil, add some fat. I don't add fat with lamb because it's very fatty. And then I enclose it in the foil and put it in the air fryer. And then when it comes out, I eat it. Now, I see a lot of people doing recipes and things online for carnivore. And I just can't get my head around recipes, really. Because I just feel what we're eating is so basic. It's one ingredient and that is meat. Do we really need a recipe for it? Maybe if you get really bored eating meat, then recipes can help. But for me, it's just extra faff. I would rather just cook the meat and eat it. That was all the questions from my viewers. I've got another couple of questions here that I had noted down when I was doing my own research, questions that were coming up. Unusual questions I've written, so let's see what they are. Well, the first one I have answered, is carnivore boring to eat? Can be, but if you get your mindset in the right place, then it's not. What can you eat on carnivore? So this is a really good question, and I see a lot of people asking this question because it can be quite confusing. Basically, carnivore is a primarily meat only diet. You shouldn't be having any carbs whatsoever. In the beginning, you will want to taper it down. I absolutely recommend doing that. When I first started, I just went all in, no carbs, and I had hypoglycemic reactions. It wasn't pretty. So then I started tapering down. I think I had about 50 to 70 grams, then 30 to 50, then 20 to 30, like that. And by the time I got to 0, I didn't have any symptoms whatsoever. But in terms of what you can actually eat on a carnivore diet, any meat, eggs, you can have dairy. It's not really recommended if you're doing this for weight loss, but you can have dairy. And water, essentially. I think you can have poultry, you can have fish as well. So basically, some people have cream, anything that hasn't got any carbs in it, basically, that is just protein or fat. And obviously you can have fats as well. But you can't have anything that's plant-based. So I like coconut oil, which I have still been having, if I'm completely honest. It's a plant, so it shouldn't really be on the carnivore diet. Some people will have coffee just because they're not willing to give their coffee up. That's fine as far as I'm aware, but I'm not a coffee drinker. I do miss my cups of tea, but I'm in this properly. I am not a dirty carnivore eater. A dirty carnivore eater is someone who cheats now and again. I try my hardest not to. I did have a banana a few days ago because my constipation was really bad and it was really painful because I'd eaten too much dairy. So I had a banana to move me along, but it's not ideal to do that, and I try to avoid it at all costs. So yeah, some people will have yogurts, but I find there's sugars in there. Cottage cheese I've had occasionally, but again, there are some carbs in that. So the stricter you can be on your carnivore diet, the better, the more results you're going to see. Next question is, will it fix chronic illness? Well, I hope so, because that is why I'm doing it. In a lot of comments from people saying that it has recovered their chronic illness or recovered it about 90%. I think perhaps it's not a complete cure, but it is going to improve your life if you have chronic illness. And already 2 months in, my life is improved. So I would say if you've got chronic illness, give it a go. Will I be constipated without fibre? Now, this is a good question. We're told, aren't we, that we need fibre. We must have fibre. Wow. Turns out that information is not very accurate at all. Because for the most part, I don't get constipated. And the only time I get constipated is if I eat too much dairy. That's it. Or I don't have enough fat in my diet. So as long as you're eating carnivore and you're eating high fat and low dairy, you should not have any problems. You might go a little bit less often, but you won't have any actual problems going. That's where we are. I'm going to leave it here because my battery's about to die now. But do leave me a comment, subscribe, share the video. I want to grow this channel to be big, perhaps my biggest channel. That would be interesting. Keep watching to see my progress, and we will next week be doing a 60-day update to see where I'm at. See you later. Bye.